What's going on, workforce? Brian here for Work to Game. I hope you're having a fantastic week. I know I am. So let's talk about you. So it's been a while since I've been able to get to a comments and Q&A video based off of your comments on the various videos that we've done over the past couple of weeks. So in this video, I want to talk about three particular videos that we've had come out in the last couple of weeks. The healer versus healer, the progression guide, and then the Gil Token. So lots of great comments from each and every one of you, but I want to highlight a couple from the community that I thought represented especially both sides of any particular argument. So let's just go ahead and jump on into this. First up, healer versus healer. So Living Myth writes, the reason people argue about this is because we're all coming from different places, different skill levels, and have different game content in mind. But then assuming that we're all talking about the same issue. Context matters. If you're still learning, or the party is poorly geared, or if you're in a huge pool, or for whatever reason you are occupied by simply healing, then by all means stick to your primary job and just keep the group alive. But then there are other situations where you've run the dungeon 100 times already, everyone's overpowered, and you barely need to heal at all, so literally either contribute to damage or stand there and don't do anything. So this is a fantastic point, and actually one of the themes that kind of runs through some of these comments you're going to see here in a little bit. And that is that party synergy, gear, and confidence matter. And I completely agree with what Living Myth is talking about. There's going to be times where you're going to, literally play your role, and that is of healing. But when you're running things at the lowest item level, you're really going to find times that you're not able to do any damage because you're going to be healing. This was true when we ran some of the latest dungeons at 235 with everybody geared at that level. I found that as a healer, there was rarely any time to toss out any damage because just trying to keep the tank up was a challenge in and of itself. So Ricardo Hernandez follows this up with, depends on the tank. Absolutely. The tank has a huge role in whether a healer can or cannot spend any time DPSing. Again, like I said, if they're under geared, that can be one thing. You know what, if they're not managing their cooldowns, if they're not helping to reduce that, and also if they're a nervous tank, outside of gear alone, party synergy is huge. And so when you get with a pug, you might not know, does this tank get nervous at 80% HP? Do they get nervous at 50%? Do they get nervous at 25%? What percentage of which is going to then have them, panic or do various different things? Same thing goes with DPS too. You could end up having DPS that want to always be topped off, or you could have them say like, yeah, I'm good around 70, 60% HP. And so party synergy and knowing your group is absolutely important. So then Krish Luss, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it, follows it up with, I like to see how good the tank is before I feel comfortable doing DPS as a healer. Because sometimes you start to DPS and your tank is so bad that he's going to require constant heals. And so that, really kind of plays into the mindset of, well, to start out, you're going to kind of feel out the group before you even, put on cleric stance. I've seen other healers at times come in, keep cleric stance on, we wipe, and then they're like, oh, I guess I need to do this. So Tegan Lewis writes, if a healer wants to stand stance, cool. If a healer wants to solely heal, cool. Some people feel super comfortable being able to DPS between heals, while others feel intimidated and just want to strictly heal. But at the end of the day, they are a healer, and thus healing should be their priority over DPSing. Yeah, I completely agree. Your main role is to keep the party alive. So well said. It's that ties into that confidence that you really want to have both in your party synergy, gear, you want to have that confidence in your abilities as well. And then finally, on this topic, I love the name, Rat Bastard writes, I'm on the boat of healers not being required to heal. It's nice when they can, but it should never be mandatory. As a rebuttal to the idea of cleric stance being there to allow them to deal damage, that is a tool to smooth out soloing. Healers being told to DPS because of cleric stance is like telling monks to tank because they have Fist of the Earth or Fleet of Foot. It's like, fair point. You wouldn't expect a monk to tank. You wouldn't, we don't have that expectation. We expect them to deal damage. We expect them to kind of fulfill their role. But I've also seen monks put on Fist of the Earth and go into PvP. I think that's either just been recently adjusted or is going to be getting adjusted soon. But it's a fair point nonetheless, and I think that, and that's why, as a part of Yoshi P's thing, is that he balances the game to not account for healers' DPS in mind. So again, it adds that additive. And a lot of people commented on this with that in mind, like healing first priority, and then if you can. And so we didn't get too many people saying, no, never going to heal. What are you talking about? So if, they're out there, but if nothing else, there's not too many people in the comments going that route. So we put out a progression guide taking you from ideally 150 to 270, talking about the various PvE and PvP elements that you can use to get the gear you want. And a lot of people weighed in and commented. So we've got comments regarding the Palace of the Dead and comments regarding PvP. Xavier Frost writes, Palace of the Dead is probably the fastest way to get a weapon at 60. So then Sildris Leah follows it up with, yeah, the kind of weapon will speed up getting that eye level 255 weapon with the first job to 60. However, grinding silver chest in Palace of the Dead is so lame and boring. But yeah, Palace of the Dead gives a decent amount of tombstones as well as a eye level 255 weapon, though never good once you can farm Sophia or Zervin Extreme. Now, it is to note that some people have stated that the Palace of the Dead weapon is better than Sophia, and that Zervin is something that obviously is much better than that as well. But what's fascinating, though, is that, I didn't mention that you can also get tomes if you're at level cap in Palace of the Dead in trade for the experience that you were getting. One of the reasons I didn't necessarily make a huge effort to include this in that progression guide is RNG is random. You might have an experience in which that is very quick. Others might have an experience in which it's very slow. So it's not necessarily going to give you that consistent cadence, which we kind of like. We like to feel our progress. But tombstones, I did forget to mention, and it is important, so I would recommend that is as an option as well. So Gaikai Delquist writes in and says, I think it would be worthwhile to emphasize the importance of upgrading the weapon as the first and foremost priority. I run with so many people struggling to tank, heal, or doing barely more DPS than the tank, wearing 270 and 260 Shire gear while using a 230 or 240 relic weapon. The stat boost you get from the armor and accessories are nice, but getting a high level item weapon will help in the most with running content, regardless of which role one plays. Even an I-250 high quality weapon from the market board would be decent. And this is an interesting and fair point. Like, weapons do have such a huge effect on you. From that perspective, though, I'm just going to leave it up to you on what you want to prioritize as a part of your gear. Your left side, your right side, a mix of both. Prioritizing your lowest item level to get it up to the highest, and then going that route. There's a lot of ways that you can tailor your experience that really will work better for you in the long run. And so then also regarding PvP, a lot of people pointed out, though, with the Garo gear, with the event that's been going on through January and February, that you can actually get 235 gear from that. And I think that with the last patch with 2.55a, you can actually acquire that stuff from the Gold Saucer as well, which is quite interesting and fascinating. So the one reason I knew about it, but I didn't necessarily include it, because I haven't been completely confident if they're going to continue that gear. It doesn't make sense just to remove it and not replace it with some other 235 stuff, but because I'm not confident that because this is an event like any of the other events that they've had in the past, that it's going to remain. And so I don't want to say, hey, here it is, and then you have no option to be able to acquire it. But it could be sticking around forever or for a long time, and that's also a good option. Some of that 235 gear is better than the PvP gear around that time. It's really going to be what you're looking for, and it looks really cool. So if you're into PvP, even if you're not, check it out, see what you think. And then finally, our most, I guess, disliked video that we've done so far, and that's Stormblood Needs, a Gil Token video. A lot of people weighed in, varying good points, both sides, talking about how they want it, how they don't. So let's dive into a couple of the comments that I want to highlight for you now. Military Moose 87 writes in and says, I'm not sure if Final Fantasy XIV's economy is structured very well for this idea at the current state. EVE Online uses this model and has used it for years and has worked well because the game is based around the player-driven economy. If you go into a fight and you lose a ship, then it's lost. It doesn't respawn. You actually have to go and buy a new ship, new guns put on that ship. This keeps the economy going because players are creating a supply and demand through ship creation and destruction. And then he says, WoW is also very different. Players have a lot of things to spend their gold on, so that economy is very moving. What's important to note, and this is also a theme that we're going to see here in a couple other comments, is regarding the economy. It's that, what do we have to spend Gil on? And so there is this point in which that right now, that's a problem within Final Fantasy. So outside of a Gil token whatsoever, it seems like that Stormblood will address some of the economy issues that we currently have in. That I think probably need to be addressed first before even considering a Gil token for that time. But let's go ahead and get into some more of these comments. So in the for column, we've got Killian G. As someone who works on a boat, I only get 5 to 6 days a month to play. So yes, I would gladly play some real life cash to be able to get home from the boat, buy some gear, and go do the newest content right away. I hate to sound like a jerk, but screw the people who worked hard for their gear. I love the game and I want to play it in the time that I have. Besides, if Square does the WoW model, it's a $5 gain in Square's pocket. As far as I'm concerned, there are no drawbacks. And so outside of the content of like just screwing people who work hard for their gear, this is something that I've seen a lot. Military personnel might have, 5 to 10 days. They'll come in, they'll sub, they'll play, but they're not going to be able to have that kind of experience that people who've got more time on their hands can put into playing and then acquiring the gear. That kind of balances it out. So that's, an argument for. So Joey Hendricks counters in the against column. You are wrong for the simple fact that if they added tokens for currency, they would lose money by the simple fact the player base is so low, so it would result in an influx of prices, so much of it would make things utterly unbuyable. For most of the current players, this would result in 2 things. 1, quit, or 2, buy a token. Don't be an idiot. WoW can do that for the simple fact that the player base is huge. Learn more about economy. Well, I mean, not to get negative or whatever, but the 14 player base is quite large. It's not as big as WoW, but to say that because it's not as big as WoW, that doesn't mean that it should work, I don't agree with. Also, I'm not an economist, not at all. But all this would be doing would be shifting money that is already in the game. It's not adding money, which is what would cause inflation. It would actually encourage spending of that money in the economy, thus making it move, making it currency, which implies that it's going to be having a direction. So if they were injecting Gil into the economy, then yes. But that Gil is sitting in the economy, either just sitting there because there's nothing to do with it, hence case in point, earlier comments in this video, but most likely it's already there. The fact is also there is the market. There are, people are selling Gil, so the inflation that you're speaking of that could happen already kind of exists because it is happening. The players who, I don't know, if anybody on this channel is going out and buying Gil, but players who do that, they go out and put that money in the economy, and they're buying it from people who are farming it. This then, all it does is legitimize and also safeguards the people who want to take that route. You can definitely disagree with me, and there's nothing wrong with having a different opinion than I do, but that's just my 2 cents on the topic. Great comment. Now, still in the no column, Jade Marydown says, No, please, no. Don't give them this idea. Balmung's economy is already sketch. No. Fair enough. It's like, I know you're definitely passionate about not having this included, and I can respect that. It would, especially at the beginning, cause some very crazy economy because as people would try to figure out what the value of it is. And that would be interesting, especially if beyond just Gil, if you could use this for Krista, which is another popular topic on this the video, having it instead of using a token, just use the Krista system, which you can use to then buy mounts, etc., etc. So technically, Final Fantasy XIV already has a premium currency that we're not really fully taking advantage of. Some people are. You could use that just to turn that into that, which you could pay for your sub, or you could buy a mount, or you could do X, Y, and Z. So anyway, it'd be interesting. I don't actually know if Krista can be used to buy a mount. I never, I bought Krista back when the 1.0 launched, used that for the subscription, and now I have 200 Krista that just sits out there with nothing. Maybe I should go see if I can buy something with it. And then in the resounding yes column again, we've got Angel Godric writes, yes, we need this. I have made over 1 billion Gil and I have nothing to do with it. First world Eorzean problems, right? You've got your houses, you've got your apartments, you've got everything that Gil can buy, and still, what do you give the Lala that has everything? I don't know. So this comment really also underscores the theme, is that Final Fantasy XIV's economy, while in 1.0 was heavily player-based, now not so much. It's not necessarily as mature, that you don't have a lot of these Gil sinks out there. So yes, it's true, having people who are sitting on 1 billion Gil inject that, like, it's in the economy, but it's just not being used, would cause inflation to go up because there'd be more competition and more money to spend. but at the same time, should be something that is driving that money out of the economy. So hopefully we can see that. Hopefully this is something that that Square Enix, the devs, are working on or looking at. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting for sure. So thank you to everybody who's commenting on these videos. It's really great to see and hear and your opinion. I view this really as that conversation, and I really want to make sure that we try to make this series more frequent so that we can continue to really gather from what all of you have to say. I think I value your opinion and your feedback always. So there were a lot more comments. I'd always encourage people to go and participate in the conversation that's going on. So sorry if I wasn't able to highlight yours. Lots of really good points. I'll keep trying to, like I said, to do this more often so we can keep these videos and these comments and this conversation going on. That's it for today. Until next time, this is Work to Game. My name's Brian. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I hope to see you in my next video. But until then, take care. Hey, it's me. Thanks so much for watching this video. You should click here to subscribe and here to maybe check out some more of our videos. So again, thanks for watching. We hope you like this video. We hope you subscribe and join our community. Let us know in the comments below what you think, and we'll see you next time.